What if the biggest thing holding you back in your career isn't your skills, but your self doubt? Today's guest has spent more than 2 decades helping leaders navigate high pressure environments, overcome career obstacles, and reach the next level of success. Courtney Intersimone is an executive coach and former corporate leader who spent 26 years working with senior executive, leadership teams, and high potential talent inside some of the most competitive business environments. Today, she helps professionals break through career roadblocks, build confidence, strengthen their leadership skills, and create the future they truly want. Her message is simple but powerful. Your life is what you make it, and you have more control over your future than you think. Please join me in welcoming Courtney Intersimone. Let's get into it. Hello, Courtney, and welcome to the Influence Exchange. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm really excited to dive in with you tonight.
Likewise, it's exciting. Was looking forward to our conversation today since last week because of your background and what you bring to the table. The goal is after today's conversation, there's going to be maybe one, five, 10, or 100 people that's going to hear our story and say, I am taking that leap forward for
Mm,
something good.
yeah, I
So
love that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
So, Courtney, I want to start by asking you, who were you 25 years ago?
Oh, gosh. Who was I 25 years ago? Well, 25 years ago, more or less, I was probably about a year or so into a corporate career that I never really, previous to that, had envisioned I would have.
Sure.
Um, I was different from now. I was single, not yet a mom, and really, really just getting my start out there in sort of post college, post grad school life, where my main goal was to make enough money to support myself, independently of my family, and I mean, that was definitely a goal, but also to get myself established in the human resources field, which is what I chose to enter in my professional life.
Sure.
And I don't think I had any real clear idea then, um, what was going to unfold over those next 25 years. I had a loose idea,
Sure.
but not really a complete one. And it definitely took a pathway that I hadn't quite anticipated. But yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And, not for anything, but your career has fascinating. And the reason why I say it's fascinating because it's a lot of pressure of working in the job you worked in, and we will dive into that in a little bit.
Or
But me personally, I know how complicated it can be when you're dealing with C-level executive, C-suite,
mhm.
uh, demanding, high power.
Yeah.
They need it now,
Yes.
and
Want it the
I
way they
know
want it. A lot of
exactly, and
egos.
I'm right, right,
Yeah,
and I'm sure it could be a little overwhelming from time to
for
time.
sure. Yeah.
And I hear this a lot, even in my career. Someone, an employee, or anyone in general, could say, "I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing," and deep inside, they are stuck, Courtney.
Mhm. Mhm.
So let's dive in a little bit about how people are usually stuck and how to move forward from feeling that way.
Yeah. So are you saying in your experience, people are stuck because they don't know what to do, or they don't want to admit that, um, they don't know how to succeed in the role that they're in, or
Exactly.
maybe a little bit of both?
Right, right. A little bit of both.
Yeah. I mean, my general premise is that, the majority of people don't really have a clear plan.
Sure.
And the
Sure.
majority of people don't really, uh, I was gonna say, don't know what they're doing. Just meaning the majority of people have a little bit of that inner apprehension around, is someone gonna find out that I don't quite know what I'm doing here.
Sure.
Um, I think it's the minority who genuinely are, like, super 100% confident from day one and don't have any of that self-doubt inside, and I also think it's the minority who have a very clearly laid out, plan of, "First I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna
Mhm.
do this, and I'm gonna do that, and, ultimately, I'm gonna be CEO of XYZ company." There are some like that, but again, I think those are fewer and farther between. And, as to why people get stuck, I mean, there's a whole range of different reasons and times when people get stuck. I think, um, stuckness can happen at any point in your career, but there are some transition points where that, uh, stuckness is maybe more likely to show up. For instance, if you're trying to, go from really high achieving individual superstar and you want to make that transition into leading other people, let alone an even higher order transition, which would be to be leading other leaders. Um, People can often get stuck figuring out what's going to be required of them in that next level of leadership and how that's different than just leading yourself and being responsible for your own y- y- you know set of deliverables or portfolio of activity, right? It's trying to get results through and with other people is a big change than just trying to deliver them, yourself.
Yeah.
And similarly, being, at a place where you're very, you've developed an expertise in a specific lane, if I can put it
Sure.
that way, or a specific
Mhm.
functional area or whatnot. I'm talking now within the context of being in like a large enterprise,
Sure.
positioning yourself as someone who can operate at the C-suite level, which I would also refer to as an enterprise level leader, like meaning somebody who isn't just a deep subject matter expert in one particular area, but rather they can understand the broader system of the organization and, you know, um, understand an array of different, revenue lines and how those come together to yield the total results for the enterprise. And usually those enterprise leadership roles also require you to be leading other leaders, which is a different thing than just having a team of direct, like
Mhm.
individual contributors. Um, those are huge stepwise changes in how you approach what you're doing and um, the identity that you bring into those roles, and that's often where people get stuck because they're unclear on what's required to make that transition and even if they can transition. So I know that's kind of vague, but those are
Sure.
just some examples. And I'm sure there's myriad other times, based on individual circumstances where somebody gets stuck or maybe they have, a bad performance review, not, just to bring it down to a
Mhm.
smaller, more immediate example. And how is someone going to respond in um, in the face of that? Are they going to use that as an experience to um, learn and grow and redouble their efforts to show up in a way that's going to get them the outcome that they want?
Sure.
Or are they going to get bitter or frustrated or just feel like, I guess I'm sort of, stuck with whatever the organization is doling out, that I don't have any control over my own future and how far I go? So, again, those are lots of different like situations that creep up that can create a stuckness for people. Maybe you had something, even more specific in mind. I'd love to hear if there's a particular scenario that you've seen play out for folks that you're curious about.
Yeah. So to me, it's extremely important to ask questions.
Mhm.
I've learned from my experiences in my career,
Yeah,
and it's important if you don't ask questions and just staying and keeping those comments or a question to yourself.
right.
If I don't know, then I can help you succeed.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you keep it in yourself, then it's you room to fail. You are just dive in that direction for failure.
Right. Right.
Right? So I always try to A, lead by example,
Yeah, for sure.
make sure you are whoever you're talking to or guiding or whatever the case is, just make sure you're explaining yourself as clear as possible.
Mhm.
And then myself ask the question, Courtney, am I clear?
Mhm.
Because if we're going to leave the conference room, leave the area, and it's still not clear in your head,
Mhm.
then we just either A, wasted 30 minutes, an hour,
Mhm.
or maybe my message as a leader was not clear,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
I think what I'm hearing you say, but tell me if I'm right, is that you
Sure.
have to have the courage to be comfortable not knowing and therefore
Mhm.
and allowing others to know that you don't know, and that becomes evident if you're asking questions, right? If you're
Right.
fronting,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
"I'm not gonna
Right.
ask any questions because I don't wanna give off the impression that I don't know what I'm doing,"
Absolutely. Yeah.
then you're really in for a world of pain
Right.
because now you are scrambling, you don't have the answer, and, the bigger sin, if I can put it that way, is to not ask the question, right? Than to risk someone thinking that, "Oh, wow, you should know that. Why did you have to ask?" "Well, I didn't, so but tell me." Now, hopefully, you get it after the first time and you
Right.
action it accordingly, but yeah, you've gotta have that courage to ask those questions, especially as the boss.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah, for sure.
Courtney, you worked a long period of time
Yeah.
in a very high level organization, I would call it.
Yeah.
And your responsibility was to find C-level executive.
Mhm. Mhm.
How challenging was that? Finding the ideal candidate to move forward.
Well, let me paint the picture a little bit more because I don't wanna overstate it. It
Sure.
wasn't like, yeah, different circumstances. So, I wasn't necessarily the person recruiting individuals
Mhm.
from the outside to come in for the C-suite, but I was involved in leading many internal processes by which we
Sure.
would assess and evaluate up and coming
Mhm.
executive level talent to continue to advance them and ultimately for them to ascend to, a true C-suite role.
Sure.
And so, I wasn't necessarily, and this may just be the way I'm thinking about your question. I wasn't necessarily the one to go out and, seek and find these people. But yes, I was definitely part of assessing and party to facilitating conversations with other top of the house leaders who were assessing that next generation of talent and deciding who
See.
among them was most likely to or who should ascend to a higher level role. And it's difficult for a number of reasons. I think first and foremost because it's not a perfect science.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I think there are various forms of assessment that are used to try to identify, qualities like
Sure.
potential and the
Mhm.
ability to go from here to there. But they're not exact.
Sure.
And um, there are also, to be honest, no one's going to want to hear this, but there's also the subjectivity of those making the decision
Mhm.
about folks down here. I'm just saying up and down, like the
Sure.
hierarchy, the career ladder, where, just do you just like the person or not?
Sure.
Do they rub you the wrong way or not? It's
Yeah.
not, a pure play, they've gotten all the greatest results. I mean, certainly results are very important but those are like table stakes.
Sure.
And at these higher levels, it's beyond just what have you done for me last week? I expect that you've had outstanding results to date, or else we wouldn't even be in this conversation about you.
Mhm.
But to
Sure.
extrapolate then from that to who ought to, do I believe this person has the capacity to, take on a much bigger piece of leadership for this whole company? You do your best to look for signs and signals, but you're never gonna really know until you put the person in the role. And so that
Sure.
also requires certain of the existing executive team to kinda
Mhm.
lock arms and say,
Right.
"We're gonna take a calculated risk here. We believe we've based on everything that we've seen and what we know about this person,
Mhm.
we believe they're up to the task." Do we
Right.
know if they're gonna be successful or not 100%? No, but at a certain point, you've gotta take a risk and put them out there, and then hopefully give that that leader, they're not a new leader, but new to that C-level role, the requisite amount of support to make that transition effectively. And, to be honest with you, a lot of times it is sink or swim.
Mm.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
talk about supporting executives when they make those transitions to, where they're making a material stepwise
Mhm.
change in their leadership.
Sure.
And I'm not saying the intent isn't there, but to support them, but often it defaults to sink or swim. People have to just
Yeah.
sort of figure it out on their own. If they're really lucky, they've got some mentors who've been championing them all the way along, who can continue to serve as
Sure.
mentors when they step
Yeah.
into that, and or the organization, or of their own accord, they will engage the services of an executive coach who has helped to shepherd many leaders up through the ranks and kind of knows what pitfalls to look out for, and help that leader be intentional and strategic about how they make the transition. But anyway, I may have gotten a little bit afield of what your original question
Yeah.
was. It's
Yeah.
it's it's complicated. There's a lot of personalities involved. There's a lot of
Mhm.
politics involved, as much as there are, facts and data points, where we try to bring as objective of a lens to the process as possible. But inherently, it is not a purely objective
Sure.
process.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Yeah. It's true. I love that you just explained it the way you just did.
Thank you.
So let me ask this. So you have 2 candidates. Let's say
Mhm.
there's a promotion in an organization.
Mhm.
You have candidate A, that's an employee,
Right.
has all the credentials, always working, rarely takes PTO,
Mhm.
but has a crappy attitude.
Mm.
Then you have candidate B, an
Mhm.
employee for the same organization.
Mhm.
Maybe the credentials is not there as well as
Mhm.
candidate A.
Mhm.
However,
Mhm.
this person is loved. This person goes above and beyond.
Mhm. Mhm.
So as a C level, an executive, you have
Mhm.
a candidate A and candidate B. Let's give an example of what would some executive think when they need to select either A or B.
I think generally speaking, generally speaking, they would rather go with candidate B. Because
Okay.
at the end of the day, you gotta be able to work with the person. So it all kinda depends in your example, like for candidate
Mhm.
A, as much as their results were outstanding, what was it what are the specifics about how much of a pain in the neck they are, or what this, interaction style that they may have, or their personality attributes that may make a lot of people feel like, "Oh my god, do I have
Oh,
to deal with this character?"
right.
Um, but it also depends what's the delta, what's the gap
Sure.
between what candidate A, between their proof of what they can deliver, like, have they pulled a lot of things out of the fire that, like rescuing something from the jaws of
Sure.
defeat and turned it around? Like, do they have some really incredible, sorry for these overused metaphors, but like wins on the board that
Sure.
are
Yeah.
hard to turn away from, that you could say, "Look, person A, not our favorite person.
Right.
Pain, we need to know that if we go with this one A, we're gonna have certain aggravations and pain points as a result of putting her, I'm gonna just make it a woman,
Sure.
whatever, in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
role. But based on all this other stuff that she's done in her history, she might be the only one
Right.
who is gonna get us where we need to go in A, B, and C,
Sure.
market or something like that, right? Precisely because she's a bull in a china shop
Yeah.
or whatever, right?
Sure.
And so in that case, I know I'm giving you sort of both sides of it, but again, it's not
Love
always a
it.
clear-cut
Right.
decision, right? There's lots of shades of gray and what's at stake. And sometimes the deciding group
Sure.
will hold their nose. I mean, as long as what the person's doing, person A is not like gonna put the organization at risk because let's say they have um, an unproven but a lot of noise around maybe they're harassing people or things that are going to cause like employee relations issues, things like
Hmm.
that. But by the way, even with that, I mean, not to tell tales out of school, but
Right.
I'm sure it's nothing that you haven't seen also in your career. I've certainly seen people at the C-suite level who were um, had so many strengths, brilliant strategists, brilliant tacticians, probably had board members wrapped around
Hmm.
their fingers, all
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and who were rank, I won't use the expletives, but
Hmm.
a-holes
Sure.
to
Sure.
lots of other people lower down in the organization, including their teams. And it was kind of known that they were jerks,
Mhm.
even by the people up here.
Sure.
And they did some kind of a calculus in their mind that said, we're going to try to rein this guy in, but
Hmm.
we're going to tolerate some of that bad behavior because he's getting all this stuff from us over here. But
Right.
also, in a case like that, the person who's misbehaving usually isn't misbehaving to their peer group. So it's easier for that peer group of C suite leaders
Hmm.
to kind of look the other way because they're not directly
Yeah.
being affected by it. I think if someone has a reputation for being a genuine pain in the rear to work with, like at a peer level,
Sure.
then the balance might weigh on the side of let me go with, candidate B, who
Sure.
we've got a little bit of a question mark about can they deliver the goods the way candidate A can,
Right.
but we know
Right.
it's going to be a hell of a lot more pleasant to interact and deal with them and perhaps the perception is or we convince ourselves that the difference in skill set to deliver the results, whatever
Right.
those may be, isn't that wide. And so
Sure.
we'll help this person to rise up and it's going to be more fun along the way. And people just would rather deal with
Yeah.
um nice is such a plain vanilla term, but they'd rather be around people who are easy to be around.
Of
So
course.
that
Yeah.
definitely carries a lot of weight. But you see what I'm saying? It also just depends on the particular
Right.
role and situation and what's at stake. And not to say that anyone's going to give away a C suite role for free,
Of course.
but depending on context and circumstance and like I said, what's of particular, like what do they need this leader to get done and get
Hmm.
accomplished, they might be willing to say, I'd rather take a little more of a risk on can this person deliver, knowing that they're going to be that they're loved, that they have a great,
Sure.
set of fans, if you will, around the organization. Presumably that suggests they'll be able to rally people around
Hmm.
them. I mean, all those things are important for being able to influence and get things done. Whereas this person over here breaks a lot of glass.
Right.
You
Right.
know they'll get it done, but is it worth the cost of what they're going to do along the way to make that
Sure.
happen? So
Sure.
all those factors have to get weighed.
Yeah. And I think it's also important that person may be coachable.
Yeah.
They're willing to take the hard and the good advice.
Yes. Yes.
That's it's critical.
Yeah, and in that scenario, candidate A probably is less coachable.
Right. Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. So, what are the most common mistakes people make when they're trying to build connections?
when they're trying to build connections. Um, I think one of the well, there's a few things. One, not doing it at all,
Sure.
or just hoping that it will happen organically versus you needing to be intentional about cultivating relationships over time. 2, thinking that it's a one and done kind of thing, like, you know, it's a relationship, right? As I just was saying, you've got to nurture it over time. Does that mean you have to constantly, be sending notes or having, you know, uh, lunches or coffees with someone
Sure.
like, even every month? No, but you need to be attentive to nurturing a relationship over time and not just expect that because you had some interaction on some project once like 10 years ago that that's going to carry the relationship
Sure.
through over the long hand. So it's being intentional about the importance of creating relationships in the first place, going out of your way to create them. And then two, cultivating those relationships intentionally over time and not thinking it's a one and done. Three, I think the other mistake is, feeling like every relation, like it has to be super formal.
Sure.
Um, you know, again, underneath it all, and yes, you have to respect the fact that we're in a business setting, so keep it business
Of course.
oriented.
Right.
But people are people. And people, you don't want to waste someone's time by going in and just shooting the breeze about, so how was your weekend, whatever. But you also can't just like build a relationship by not having any kind of like get to know me as a human being beyond
Yeah.
just like what do I, what do I do here at this organization. The other thing is perceiving that every exchange is some kind of a transaction,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed, and this is part of what makes some people avoid developing their networks, is feeling like, you know feeling uncomfortable, like that they're asking something of the other person. Well, maybe
Sure.
maybe you're not asking anything of them. Maybe you should be focused on how can you be helpful to them.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
one of the things that I like to suggest to people is always be coming from a place of, you want to project the feeling to the other person that being in relationship to you is going to be easy
Hmm.
and ideally enjoyable,
Sure.
and that you actually are interested in them and what they want, and you might be able to be helpful to them in some way.
Sure.
Um, and you always want to give before you ask for something from
Right.
somebody else.
Of course.
And the other thing is, it's so important to pay attention to and kind of pick up over time, what are the motivations for this other person? What's important to them? Again, do I know other people that I could connect them with
Sure.
in my network that might be helpful for them to speak to? Right. So, again, all of those things, being intentional about it, showing that you're genuinely interested in the other
Hmm.
person and what's important to them, and finding ways, no matter how small and inconsequential they might seem to
Right.
you, to be helpful to that other person as opposed to what am I getting from them. All those things are super important.
Yeah. Great advice, Courtney. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, what is your take on imposter syndrome and overcoming self doubt?
So my take on it is, it's very normal. I do not think it is only something, you didn't bring this up, but I'm bringing it up.
Sure.
A lot of times out there in conversations, I think there's an belief that it afflicts women more than it does men. Um, Maybe it does on a percentage basis, but in my experience with the people I talk to, it's without gender preference, right? It
Sure.
Maybe some people are a little bit more willing to admit that they feel that insecurity, right?
Sure.
And I
Sure.
think men traditionally are
Yeah.
socialized more so than women in our culture to,
Hmm.
you know, keep a poker face, not
Hmm.
tell the truth about how you feel, be strong, all of that. But inside, what I have found in my experience is that everyone has these periods of self-doubt. And um, all the way up to the CEO of the
Sure.
organization, right? Now, the higher you go, you can't afford to let people around you know that you're feeling that, because they're looking to you for certainty. They're looking to
Sure.
you to say, this is the direction we need to go. But just understand that most people go through periods or even, waves up and down of feeling like they've got it together, and then feeling
Hmm.
like, oh my God, I don't really know what I'm doing, and wait till, they find out.
Sure.
Um, so sometimes the solution in part is just recognizing that actually this is not an indication that you are a mess. It's an indication that you're human when you have
Of
those
course.
feelings of insecurity and that
Yeah.
you're actually in really good company. And so
Mhm.
sometimes I tell people, like, it's okay to feel those feelings and let those feelings arise, even though they don't
Sure.
it's uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and keep moving forward anyway. I think where people get messed up is they have the feeling of, "Oh my god, someone's gonna find out. I'm in over my head. They gave me the wrong thing to do,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah." Some people will have those feelings and they just it consumes them so much that they then become paralyzed and it becomes like a
Sure.
self-fulfilling prophecy. Whereas if you say, "Oh my god, the world is gonna find out I don't know what I'm doing," and then you say to yourself, "Okay, let me breathe. Okay, it's hard for me to believe this right now, but I've heard before that this is a really normal feeling. That just means that
Mhm.
I'm human. Okay, let me just figure out, like, what are the next 3 steps I need to take toward
Sure.
this thing that I'm feeling insecure about. How can I be resourceful? Who can I go to for help?" Lord
Yeah.
knows today there's more information than you could possibly want, more ways to get information quickly with AI resources and all the rest. Obviously, you have to be discerning about that, but what I'm saying is there's ways to get up to speed on what you need to do, and you can even get comfortable saying, "I'm not really sure about this or this, but
Right.
I am sure I'm gonna be able to figure it out. I'm gonna pull together the right group of people." But the point is, all the while, you might be feeling that insecurity that you're gonna get found out, but you keep taking steps moving
Mhm.
forward anyway. And that's really all
Yeah.
you have to do. And you'll start to notice that, "Oh, wait a second, I guess I'm doing it. And sure, I'm gonna get better than I
Yep.
was yesterday." That's only to be expected. The more you do
Sure.
things, the more you learn them and the more natural it's gonna feel, but there's a first time for everything, there's a first time for everyone.
Yes.
Nobody is, like, born out of the womb knowing how to run a, you know, multi-million dollar P&L and,
Right,
a
right.
team of 5,000 people. Like, you put one foot in front of the other and you figure it out, and you also have to have some faith that if someone else put you in a role, it's because they saw enough to believe that you could get up the learning curve and do it
Mhm.
well. So acknowledge the insecurities, know that that's normal.
Right.
Don't make it mean that you can't move forward. Find some actions. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. I
Sure.
mean, I say this, I've never climbed a mountain, right? So what the hell do I know? And I'm the last person that you're gonna find climbing a mountain,
Y
but I just got this image in my mind of, when they have those whatever those, like,
Yeah.
things are that
Yeah.
you I see,
Yeah.
I don't even have the right terminology. But, like, imagine you're climbing that mountain. I'm sure there's times when people are like, "Shit, I don't know if I can get up to the top
Right.
of the mountain."
Exactly.
But what choice do you have? Are you gonna say, "I guess I can't do it," and fall down?
Right.
No, your next choice is like, "Well, I've got this tool, I have this resource.
Right.
I'm gonna anchor it to the next
Mhm.
spot, and I've got this other
The
tool over here.
next
I'm gonna anchor to the next spot, and I'm gonna pull
sure.
myself up a little bit further, and then I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
again." And I might be, worried that I'm gonna lose my stomach lining because I'm feeling so nervous, but as long as I keep focused on what's the next thing I can do that
Right.
can move me toward accomplishing whatever it is I've been asked to do,
Mhm.
that's always better than giving up. And by the time you get to the top of that mountain, you're gonna be like, "Oof, that was harrowing. I was kinda white knuckling there for a while, but, I'm here.
Sure.
So I must have figured something out."
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
It
That's
did.
that's
It
the
did.
way I
I
think
love it.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing awesome. This is great.
Awesome.
Courtney, what do you do now and how do you help people?
Sure. So after 26 years in corporate,
Wow.
I did what I had wanted to do for a long time, which was to open my own practice. And so I work privately as an executive coach and consultant on talent management kind of items for organizations and team facilitation, that kind of stuff. And principally, I'm working with executive level leaders who want to be better at what they're doing in one form or another. I'm helping them to maximize their potential in the world of work.
Sure.
Sometimes I'm helping them to recover after a setback of some kind,
Okay.
which can include maybe they've gotten laid off, there's been a
Mhm.
restructuring, they don't have the same kind of political support in the organization that they used to, what have you, they're getting squeezed out. I help them rewrite that narrative and reposition themselves in the marketplace and get over whatever um, insecurity that tends to shake up in
Sure.
someone. But I also work with leaders who are in that place internally where, they're at a certain title level. They know they want more. They know that they want that next level of elevation, but they're feeling stuck. They're not really
Sure.
sure what it is that they need to do to win the right sponsors over to them and get the right visibility and tell their story in a way that positions them effectively for that next role. And then I also work with people as their, private sort of uh, secret weapon, if you will,
Sure.
to advise and counsel them while they're in transition to a new role. So I've had a couple of clients where they've stepped into much bigger roles, changed companies, and have invited me to continue partnering with them for like a full year as they get established in that new role, hit the ball out of the park. And, it's great for many of them to have a sounding board who gets it, someone who is completely outside of their context so they can completely be open about the challenges they're facing, the opportunities they see, but they can ask the questions that they might feel they can't safely ask in their new environment.
Sure.
Um, and I get a lot of joy out of supporting people to really just excel and to be all that they want to be in their professional life.
I love that.
Thank
That is
you.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
An audience will be posting Courtney's links on the episode description.
Yeah.
So, Courtney, what motivates you today?
What motivates me? Honestly, I think, what I was just saying before is I just really get a kick out of and take a lot of joy in helping people to get what they want in life. I mean, that's a broad statement.
Mm.
I like helping people to see the power that they have to create the kind of professional life that they want to create. Working within a large corporate entity for sure, where you're kind of coming up against the power of the total
Mhm.
entity, it can feel like very asymmetrical,
Sure, sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I like being the person in the corner of the individual who is trying to navigate that whole realm.
Yes.
And no one should be getting anything for free. They've got to be adding a lot of value to the organization.
Mhm.
But I want to help people feel like they are more at cause in terms of creating their future than perhaps they realize that they're not just um, at the whim of what can be an ever-changing array of characters in their current organization. And so just seeing people feel great about themselves, go after what it is that they really want, whether that's a certain title, a certain, impact that they want to make, certain earnings that they want to have.
Yeah.
And what I have often found is that people tend to, and it's not that there aren't real legitimate external challenges, but they also put a lot of inner challenges there that they don't need. And so if I can play a
Mm.
role in helping them to at least, pull those weeds
Sure.
out so
Yeah.
that they can go forward and feel like they've lived the life that they really wanted to live because we've got one shot at this. So, if I can be part of helping them to do that, that brings me a lot of joy.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is definitely motivation.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
is great.
For
I'm
sure.
motivated
Oh,
just
good.
from our conversation. This
Good.
is this is great, Courtney.
Awesome. I'm glad.
Courtney, I usually like to ask my guests one final question.
Sure.
What final thoughts or message would you like to share with the world?
Final thoughts and message I have is your life is what you make it.
Mm.
Don't
Yes.
don't be a victim of circumstance. Don't be a victim, period. Decide what you want, love yourself enough to go for it, and resource yourself, whatever that looks like. Nobody does these things alone. So be ready to invest in yourself and your dream, because if you don't, nobody else is going to.
I love that. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Courtney, you had such amazing advice today. I truly, deeply appreciate you sharing your story and sharing with my audience. And I'm looking forward to this episode to be released and see what these people have.
Yeah,
Hopefully they could find you, someone that's probably stuck
yeah,
or need that push, that extra step forward.
yeah, yeah.
They could find you because I could just say this conversation today has enlightened me and motivated me
Oh, good. I'm
for the
glad.
best.
I'm very
So
glad.
again, Courtney, thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Can't wait for us to have another conversation.
Yeah, likewise, likewise.
Before I go, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for pressing play. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. I truly appreciate you taking the time to be here with me. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other platform, follow the podcast so you don't miss out on the next episode, because we're going to keep having real honest conversations like this. And remember, your influence grows every time you choose courage over comfort. I'm JV. Stay curious, stay consistent, and keep influencing others. If you enjoyed this episode, I had a great conversation with Bart Murrow, who is an entrepreneur, speaker, author, and side hustle expert. Bart has spent his career turning everyday experiences into opportunities to build multiple streams of income. I encourage you to go back and listen to episode 42 of The Influence Exchange, where Bart shares how to identify opportunities, start a side hustle with little money, develop the right mindset, take action, and build additional income streams. Thank you for listening and watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.